What we have, and we started this teaching on, that the Hebrew went from Hebrew to Greek to Latin, and then we're going to find it shows up in Old English. But there's something that we need to get. How many of you have been to Bible college? How many of you have had churches that taught you Bible college stuff? So what is the Old Testament written in? Hebrew, right? And the New Testament is written in Greek. Now get this. If the Hebrews couldn't speak Hebrew, and therefore translated the Hebrew to the Greek, shouldn't the Old Testament be Greek too? So I'm trying to engage your brain now. Because the people who want to rely on the Greek portion of the scriptures want to tell us that the Hebrew, which was translated into the Greek, is the Hebrew, was written in Hebrew, when in actuality it was written in Greek. Because it was translated from the Hebrew to the Greek so that the people could understand it. Now, you heard the name Jerome mentioned. Jerome came along, and this is what is happening. And I just put this note, since the scriptures was translated from the Hebrew Tanakh into the Greek Septuagint and used to make the scriptures readable for a Greek audience, should not both the Old and New Testament be handed down to us in Greek or Latin? Why is a Hebrew Old Testament now being taught instead of a Greek Old Testament? Because once the Hebrew was translated into Septuagint, the Hebrew scriptures were no longer used. It was the Greek portion of the Hebrews scripture, which was the Septuagint. This is what was being read, and this is what was being used to separate the Hebrew speakers from the Greek speakers and to formalize the separation from the Hebrew to the Greek. Thus, the blank page between the testaments. You see, when they, seminarians, Bible colleges and theologians and scholars who want us to believe that the Hebrew scriptures was written into the Greek Septuagint, and therefore the Old Latin, which the Roman Catholic Church still used today, was the portion that was literally translated from the Hebrew into the Greek, then what they actually have is a Greek Old Testament and a Greek New Testament. Is this making sense? So the Hebrew flavor is kind of still on the Greek, but it's more Greek than it is Hebrew. Now, this is important because we know that the Greeks, you don't associate Greeks with Hebrew. See, in your mind, when you hear of Greek, you don't think Hebrew. So now we got to distance ourselves from the Hebrew, but we got to hold on to the Hebrew so that the people can make the distinction between the Hebrew and the Greek, when in actuality the Hebrew portion of the scriptures is actually translated into Greek. So why they want to tell us that the Old Testament was written in Hebrew when in actuality it was translated from Hebrew into Greek? Because it would not make sense to you, and this page between the testaments wouldn't make sense if the Old Testament is Greek and the New Testament is Greek. It's just one continual flow. Hello, somebody. Wake up.
For more information, visit www.arthurbaileyministries.com or call 888-899-1479. This program is made possible through financial contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.